joining me. Many cultures and belief systems around the world believe that returning to our home in the heavens is the true meaning of life. How do we get there? Through spiritual refinement, by following a set of guiding principles and achieving spiritual perfection. In this series, we follow Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, whose guiding set of principles are Zhen, Shan, Ren, or truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. Today, I will be presenting two pieces. The first is an article titled Finding Hope, and the second is a nice surprise. And you're just going to have to wait to see what it is. Finding Hope. Aunt Zhou is from a small ancient city in southwest China on the east side of Erlang Mountain, next to Xingyi River. That ancient city was very beautiful and full of legends. Based on ancient legend, when goddess Nuwa repaired the sky, she missed a coloured stone and did not repair the sky in that area. The constant rain there throughout the year became famously known as elegant rain. The area's gentle and elegant women had an excellent reputation as well, but Aunt Zhou's life did not feel so elegant when she reached her 50s. During the 1990s, Aunt Zhou's family life was stable. She worked at marketing and sales. Her husband was the Education Bureau official. Their sons ran businesses and their daughter worked in a coastal city. Her husband was very considerate and her children were very filial. But Aunt Zhou developed many health problems. Severe Meniere's disease, tuberculosis, ulcers, lumbar disc herniation, and neurasthenia headed the list, amongst others. Her condition continued to deteriorate and she often lost consciousness. This even happened while she was cooking. One time she woke up to find that the rice she was preparing to add to boiling water was all over the floor. Sometimes she was unconscious for even longer periods of time. Once she was unconscious for so long that the water in the pot dried up and the meat burned. Aunt Zhou looked around for medical treatment and even practiced various kinds of qigong. However, none of it worked. Her friends persuaded her to play mahjong and dance to relax, but that did not work either. Her poor health made her angry and she felt like she was in a vicious cycle. In the early summer of 1997, Aunt Zhou lost a lot of money playing mahjong. She was very depressed and walked toward home with a heavy step. When she passed a billiard room, she suddenly heard some very beautiful music she had never heard before. She looked up and saw her good friend Xu Ming practicing a beautiful exercise. The two women had often gone together to learn different kinds of qigong to cope with their illnesses. Aunt Zhou immediately followed along to do the exercises. Although she only arrived in time to try the last one, she felt very relaxed and comfortable. Afterwards, Aunt Zhou asked Xu Ming what practice this was and where she could learn it. Xu Ming told her, "This is Falun Gong. You can talk to the volunteer coordinator, Aunt Zhang. This practice is different from all the others. Falun Gong teaches people to cultivate their xinxing, or heart and mind nature, and to be good to people. We also have the precious book Zhuan Falun to guide our cultivation." Xu Ming also shared with Aunt Zhang her experiences and understandings about Falun Gong. Aunt Zhang, 80, was reading Zhuan Falun when Aunt Zhou arrived. Although there was only a very limited amount of books, Aunt Zhang still lent her book to Aunt Zhou to read. That evening, Aunt Zhou quietly sat in her room and started to read Zhuan Falun. A dozen years later, she still clearly remembers how her heart was moved when she first read it. This book is so great. What the inner meanings the book talks about are very profound and supernatural. For the first time in my life, I understand one standard alone determines if someone is good or bad, whether he is able to be true, good, and endure. I understand that the root cause for all the sickness and pain is because people did bad things and created karma. The more I read Zhuan Falun, the more I want to continue reading. I could not put the book down. My husband woke up and saw that I was still reading. He was very surprised and asked me why I had not gone to sleep. I told him I was reading the book from heaven. I was so excited that I was not sleepy at all. I finished reading it at 4 a.m. My view of life completely changed. I now knew why people needed to be good and how to be a good person. From Hell to Heaven. Less than a month after Aunt Zhou started to practice Falun Gong, all her health problems disappeared. She walked very lightly and fast. She used to weigh just over 40 kilograms and looked like a thin old woman. After practicing Falun Gong, her weight was more like when she was younger, and her skin became fine and healthy. People all said she looked more than 10 years younger. Aunt Zhou used to work in the countryside as an official. Later, she worked for a corporation in sales and public relations. She could drink a whole bottle of Chinese wine without becoming drunk. After she started to cultivate Falun Gong, she no longer drank any alcohol at all. She also stopped playing mahjong and gambling. Before she started practicing Falun Gong, Aunt Zhou was unapproachable. At home, no one challenged her decisions. Outside the home, if someone said something negative about her, she would berate that person until the other side apologized. After she started practicing Falun Gong, she became tolerant of others and never struck back when attacked or talked back when insulted. No matter how others treated her, she was always truly good to them. Tolerance was the biggest challenge for Aunt Zhou. She said, "My nephew is a good person, but his wife fell in love with another man and divorced him. One day, when my friends talked about this, I did not maintain my xinxing and made a few comments. Later, the man heard about this. He stopped me in the middle of the street and cursed me using really bad words. If it was before, I would have argued with him, but that day I kept apologizing to him. I told myself in my heart that I cultivate Falun Dafa and should not criticize other people, right or wrong." The people on the street all commented, "Aunt Zhou was not like this before. Now when someone scolds her in public, instead of fighting back, she smiles." Someone said, "You do not know? She started practicing Falun Gong now. Falun Gong teaches people that, as a practitioner, you should not hit back when attacked or talk back when insulted," which is from the fourth talk in Zhuan Falun. Some said, "We know Falun Gong is good just by looking at how Aunt Zhou changed. She looks like a completely new person physically and mentally." Witnessing Dafa's mighty virtue. The local leaders saw how Aunt Zhou improved after practicing Falun Gong and asked her to be the community committee director. Aunt Zhou already took fame and personal interest lightly, so initially she declined. One night when she opened Essentials for Further Advancement to study the Fa, she immediately read, "If all leadership positions in the society of everyday people were filled by people like us, who can let go of the concern for their own reputation and self-interest, what great benefits it would bring to people, and what would be brought to society if greedy people were to assume power. If all business people were cultivators of Dafa, what would society's morality be like?" That was from Cultivation and Work, Essentials for Further Advancement. Aunt Zhou enlightened to a proper understanding and accepted the new job. She used Dafa as the guide in her work to serve the neighbours and community diligently without any complaint. There was a married couple who often fought with each other in public. Even with police intervention, the problem continued. During a subsequent episode, the police caught Aunt Zhou. Could you please help handle this? The man got drunk and started to fight with his wife again. Aunt Zhou talked to the couple from the point of view of Falun Dafa's principles and told them about the predestined relationship of husband and wife. She also told them how her temper improved after practicing Falun Dafa, and she persuaded them to read Dafa books too. Later, the couple learned about the greatness of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. They became humble and got along well. Aunt Zhou often encouraged vendors to run their businesses with integrity and trade fairly. She also told the police, "The people who run businesses are like your children. You should protect them." She also advised the city officials for the business administration. The vendors left their homes to live in the city. It is really not easy. Think about this way. If you or someone in your family were treated unjustly, how would you feel about it? Try putting yourself in their place. As a Dafa practitioner, Aunt Zhou's words and actions gained the neighbours and community's respect and praise. Through her, they saw that Falun Gong practitioners were righteous, selfless, and truly kind. Falun Dafa practitioners like Aunt Zhou are living examples of the value of Dafa. By word of mouth, many people in the small city started practicing Falun Gong. During that period, people in the city all got along well. I'm reminded when I read stories like this that it's never too late to change. It doesn't matter how old you are. There are plenty of examples of people changing their character, completely turning around their lives. Thank you, Aunt Zhou, for that lovely story. Next is the surprise that I promised you, and it is a musical piece. It is played on the Pipa, titled Hope, composed by Jiwa, played on the Pipa, a traditional Chinese musical instrument. Enjoy. I don't know about you, but each time one of those strings were plucked, I felt joy. It was very simple, but at the same time honest. A beautiful piece. And I really think it does inspire hope. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and join us again the next time on the journey home.